Are you someone who always thinks that you're right? Well, that may be your brain playing tricks on you, especially when there are decisions that come with high stakes, for example, your finances or investments, or whom you're gonna vote on the next election. Your brain is wired to confirm what you already believe, and trust me, that can cost you a lot. Today we are going to explore the fascinating world of why we think that we know way more than what we actually do, in particular when it comes to investments. This is what psychologists call overconfident bias and confirmation bias. We are going to explore how this can cost us a lot, not only time, but also money, potentially, and how we can leverage some unconventional practices to overcome these problems. So stay tuned because understanding your brain may be actually your best investment. Welcome to TAOL Podcast, the place where we explore the intersection between your finances, your brain, and a path to a life of true abundance and balance. I'm your host, Gabbo, and thanks for being here. Let's kick it off. So think about this. We are constantly bombarded with information. We read news articles, we listen to podcasts where there are so-called experts, and we follow trends. Now, when we finally make a decision about something, we feel pretty confident about it, which honestly is not necessarily bad. But in investments, it can cost you a lot of money. So what is overconfident bias? Overconfidence bias is our natural tendency to overestimate our knowledge, our ability, or even our judgment. In investing, this manifests as the fact that we believe that our research is better than someone else's ability to do research, or that our predictions are more accurate than somebody else, or assuming that we have a unique insight and that other people lack. And this is why sometimes we enter investments thinking that we can make a lot of money, and that never happened. So let's talk about the science behind it. This, my friends, is not a character flaw. This is a pre-wiring in our brains, and we all are born in the same manner. Our brains are designed for efficiency, and this is very important. The primary function of the brain is to makes us survive. And for that, it has to do it in the most efficient way. But also, it has to be coherent. So when we make a decision, our brains tend to focus on some things that are actually confirming something that we already believe, rather than challenging it. That will cost more energy. This brings us to the confirmation bias. But what is confirmation bias? Well, that is our tendency to seek out information that confirms something that we believe is true. We even tend to remember things that confirm what we already know. In that way, our beliefs or hypotheses don't need to change. So if you are certain that a project in RTP or in Raleigh, Durham is going to skyrocket in the near future, you're going to gravitate towards news, articles, podcasts, and even random conversations with strangers that will confirm what you think. Be careful, because you may be dismissing or undermining something that is critical for you to make an accurate decision. In other words, your brain is building a case for your conviction. From a neurobiological perspective, when we feel that we are right, our brains release more dopamine. And as we saw in prior episodes, this dopamine can be like a very addictive chemical in our brain. So the problem with this is that it's going to be very hard for you to realize if you are wrong. So you won't be able to actually question your own judgment. The part of our brain that makes these logical decisions is a prefrontal cortex. Your prefrontal cortex is your friend. The problem is that under a lot of stress or pressure, or even when you are very tired, it's not going to work perfectly fine. And it may be overridden by this emotional type of decisions that are ruled by the release of dopamine. And all this can come with a high cost. In particular, in investing, it can lead to excessive trading and believing that you are constantly picking the winners on your investments. And the problem with this approach is that if you are a high volume trader, you're paying a lot of fees on each one. You may be more inclined to under diversification. Diversification from an investment point of view, it's very important because that distributes the risk amongst different classes. But if you are not paying attention, you may be putting a lot of investment in the same type of risk, and that can be very dangerous. You may be also ignoring red flags. That means you are ignoring crucial information that may be very valuable for making decisions, or maybe holding into losing stocks and refuse to sell because you're confident that it's going to rebound and you're going to make some profit. Now, this is playing a very critical role in our personal lives too. From a career perspective, you may be taking a career where you are not actually equipped with the necessary skills to perform a specific activity. In relationships, you may think that you have the ability to understand another person's point of view. And I don't know if you've been in this situation, but it can lead even to toxic relationships when you believe that you can change a specific personality of someone that you love, but that may not be true. In terms of health, we may be following a certain diet, or we may be doing something that is very risky for our health, but we tend to ignore it because we don't feel that vulnerability. When it comes to personal development, we may think that we don't need to keep learning. We won't be seeking for new knowledge or adapt to changing technology or circumstances. Now, let's talk about some solutions or some practices that you can implement on your routine. And this is going to combine neurobiology and mindfulness. This is where unconventional finance is going to meet neurobiology and meditation. Let's talk about the pause. People underestimate the value of the pause. Before making an important decision, an investment, take some time, especially the ones that you feel strongly about. Take a few deep breaths and then observe if you're still in the same state of mind. The body scan consists on trying to pay attention to your heartbeat, for example, or how fast you're breathing. If you're about to make a decision and you feel your heartbeat is going faster, or you start to breathe a little bit heavier, then it's time for the pause. And this is one of my favorites. People underestimate the value of journaling. But if you sit down and you write down with a pen and paper why you feel strongly about certain investment or certain decision in life, this can bring very, very powerful insights. You can also externalize your thinking. You can get a friend and ask that person to play devil's advocate. Be grateful for someone who challenges your point of view and think about that as something positive. There's another one called pre-mortem analysis. Imagine that you are entering an investment, but it fails. And just imagine that. Note how you feel. What were the reasons for that failure in that investment? This mental exercise is going to focus on the negative side and may be a very helpful tool for you to overcome the challenges of the overconfident bias. And lastly, embrace the I don't know. To be honest, admitting that you're wrong or that I'm wrong is not easy. It may be very uncomfortable, but it can be very powerful. It opens your mind to new ideas, new resources, and potential new and better outcomes. Now, meditation, in particular the ones focused on open awareness, can really help you embrace this level of comfort and uncertainty. So remember that the point is not to eliminate confidence. Confidence is crucial for taking action. The goal is when your confidence becomes a liability, not an asset. And by integrating neurobiological awareness and mindfulness practices, you can make smarter, more resilient, and better financial decisions. So as you walk on the vibrant streets of Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, Morrisville, or Cary, and you are looking for new startups or new companies where you can put your money on, take your moment to reflect on your financial decisions. Are you truly seeing the whole picture, or is your brilliant brain playing a trick on you? The journey to a financial well-being is not only following trends, but also very, very personal and extremely intertwined with how our minds work. I hope this episode brought some unconventional tools for you to think about that actually help you navigate in a better way your financial freedom path. By understanding this overconfident investor that we all have with us, and by embracing this type of practices that foster awareness and humility, we can really make decisions that truly serve our long-term goals. Thank you for tuning in to TAOL Podcast. I'm your host, Gabbo. And if you're interested in more insights about behavioral finances, neurobiology, and mindfulness practices, be sure to subscribe. Follow us on social media, and we are gonna be back next week with some more unconventional wisdom for our minds and our money. Until then, stay curious, stay humble, and invest wisely. See you next time.